Good evening and salutations, my B&B fans. So, RJ finds out about Luna and Zende, and he is pissed, right? And in his mind, he's like, Zende took advantage of her. Now, although Luna's like, he didn't know that I was on these meds, he didn't take advantage of me. RJ is like, well, either you knew what was going on or he took advantage of you, right? Because he knew that we were snipped there seeing each other. And this is what Carter said yesterday. Carter was like, the fact that you knew that he was snipped there dating your cousin, that she was dating your cousin, should have been enough to sit there and pump the brakes, or at least be like, hey, listen, I've been knowing you for a while, and now you just in my bed? What's going on? Instead, he was just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Let's let's do it. And so, he kind of puts her in this box where it's like it's either one way or the other. Which one is it? And instead of just being more of a complex situation of, and I know this is the least likely scenario, but maybe in Zende's head, he was like, I've been trying to hit on for a while. Maybe she decided to, answer me back. I mean, I did sit there and tell her, hey, if you want to come to the guest house, I'll let your boy, whatever. And that's literally what she wound up doing. So in his mind, he's like, she only answered to the question I was going to ask her that night. But the point is, instead of just looking at this like this is a complex situation, and let me not just rush over there and just start throwing hands, that's literally what he does. He just, in his head, he took advantage of her. So he heads down there, and while there, Carter and Zende are talking about the whole situation, and Poppy just walks on in, and I'm like, bro, you're getting way too comfortable just walking around this office. Like, you do realize that your daughter is an intern here, right? Like, she's not like a major designer or anything like that, where it's like she could just have people just coming at her office all times of the day and night, whatever, just sit there and try to see her. Like, that's a workspace right there. You just walked on in. Like, I don't get that. Anyway, she tells both of them that she's off the meds and that she wants to sit there and be there for her daughter in case things wind up going sideways, and she needs to sit there and talk to her mother. Um. Anyway, long story short, RJ gets down there. Poppy comes over RJ's place looking for Luna, and the minute RJ gets down there, he slams the door. He's like, you knew that me and her were together, and you did what you did anyway. And then he's like, yo, listen, I understand you're upset. Don't be upset with her. Be upset with me. He's like, all right, fine. And he just punches him right in the face. And I'm like, bro, like, are you serious? I get being upset, but I mean, he must really think lowly of Zende to the point where he felt that he took advantage of her. Because the thing is, in his anger, Luna did sit there and say he didn't know that I was, that I was high off the meds and stuff like that. But I guess in RJ's mind, he's like, he should have knew something was off. You wouldn't just randomly just get in his bed like that, knowing that we're together. And I guess in some sense, it's hard to sit there and say if he actually took advantage of her. Because the thing is, it's about perception, right? Like we can all look at that and be like, okay, he didn't know that she was high. It wasn't like, oh, I know you're a little off, but we're gonna sit there and do it anyway. It was like you didn't sit there and stop to question any of it. You just went for it. So did you really just sit there and think that you just had that much of a low opinion about Luna? Where it's like she'll just sit there and just leave him like he was nothing. Like, either way, it looks bad on his end. That's what it really comes down to. So while that stuff is going on, you got Hope and Liam, and in some ways, I swear it's like they had the most pointless conversation because she brings up Thomas and she starts there saying things that she knows that Liam doesn't want to hear. Like, she's, she was in love with him. She still loves him. I'm like, he doesn't want to hear that. Why do you keep bringing that up? She talks about how, I guess, what attracted her to him as far as being a bad boy and, kind of taking a walk on the wild side with him. But she doesn't really answer the major question that, okay, so, I DVR'd it and everything like that. And, it says on the description, Hope reveals the real reason she turned down Thomas's proposal. But she doesn't. She doesn't even sit there and say why she turned it down. I mean, other than she's not ready, but that's not really an answer. That's not really an answer. I mean, was she going to be ready down 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line? Was she never planning on marrying him? I mean, we don't even know the real reason why. I mean, it's just she wasn't ready. But is there more to it? And if so, are we ever going to sit there and get the full answer? Who knows? I mean, they got this whole sugar thing going on, so yeah. That is that's my general feelings about this episode. Now I do have more feelings about this whole thing, especially with this whole Zende and RJ and Luna, because the one thing that I could sit there and say, it really does come down to perspective. Carter really nailed it, but then you have to sit there and look at it from Zende's point of view. As messed up as that is, maybe he really thought that, hey, she wanted to be with me. Against all logic, against all things that would just generally make sense. So I'm pretty torn about it now, because up to this point I was like, yo, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, he didn't know. And like, that's still true. But, ask questions, not ask questions. What do you do in that situation? Everyone, and the thing is, it also comes down to the heat of the moment, too, right? It also really comes down to the heat of the moment, because everyone can sit there and say, I would have did this differently, seeing that. But is that really true? That's kind of like an argument that you have with somebody, or a confrontation that you have with somebody at work, rather a customer or whatever. You get all angry. It's like, in your head, you're sitting there thinking, well, I would have did this, I would have did that. But it's after. It's what you do in that moment that really counts. So it's, I don't know. I don't want to sit there and get too far into it. I'll talk more about it tonight. But I don't know. I think it's interesting at the very least. Anyway, I have my live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows, because Summer on Y&R is, she brought me back to that point of, oh yeah, this is why I don't like this chick. As well as talking about Days of Our Lives, Chernobyl Hospital, and of course, Bold and the Beautiful. And so yeah, hopefully I'll see you tonight.